Welcome to Our View, a Woman's Perspective. Today we dive into a complex and timely topic, women's empowerment versus objectification. We'll explore the historical context of the sexual revolution, its impact on modern attitudes, and the rise of hookup culture. Did the sexual revolution empower women, or did it create a space for women to be objectified, which may have contributed to the modern views surrounding situationship? I'm joined today by Brianna, Kanita, Sarah, and we're going to get right into it right now. So the sexual revolution would have started in and around the 60s and the 70s, and this would have been a pivotal period for women where the traditional norms, ethics, and values of sexuality and how sexuality is expressed by women was expressed, right? And there were some pivotal moments in that time. For example, the introduction of the birth control pill, the legalization of abortions in certain places, and it also gave rise to the feminist movement as well, which we've argued before that would have contributed to the breakdown of the nuclear family and has now resulted in the rise of hookup culture and situationships. For me personally, when I think about that movement and what it did for women, for example, I know that I agree the nuclear family was heavily impacted because of it. But I also think about birth control, for example. I think about women who may have been in abusive relationships or may have been sexually assaulted, for example, where there are circumstances brought to them that they didn't ask for.
I think it's hard because as women, all of our lives, our lived experiences are so different that what works for somebody is definitely going to not work for someone else. And so what happens is that it really stops people from being able to speak frankly about something, because every time they try to just say, well, I think this might be the best way, the people who are living outside of that are angry and they want to shout you down and say, well, my experience was it, you know? So I think that's part of why this show is so useful, is because it shows that one solution doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
And all of us come from very, very different backgrounds. So, you know, a lot of our prescriptions and diagnoses to these societal issues are going to be very different.
Given, but then there's abuse of it as well. We can't shut down that there are women that abuse the use of birth control. And abusing the use of birth control, that is where there's a bit of a gray area that now you leave yourself open to, okay, why? Like, why use it in that manner? I can speak for myself. I use birth control specifically because of my PCOS. Right. If it didn't have that, I probably would still have PCOS today, okay? But we can't say we using birth control and, hey, I having a good time.
Everything is everything.
Everything is not a problem. No, that's not right. It's just not. I mean, you know, they say common sense is not so much of a common thing.
Yeah.
You know, but as an individual, if you're thinking about how you represent yourself, I mean, why abuse something that's supposed to help you?
Yeah, but is the problem then the use of birth control, or is the problem there, because you're talking about promiscuity, right? Is the problem then the culture that we've created for women to be promiscuous?
Correct.
Right? Because,
and that's what the feminist movement has encouraged. So therefore, a lot of women abuse it.
Well, hold on.
That's my perspective. There is a balance, but we can't disagree that there are women that abuse it. There are women that abuse it. 100%.
I know, but I just.
So I would say for the women that need it,
the
woman that need it, yes. The woman that may have gone through what you would have expressed in the beginning, sure, no problem. But then there are women that are perfectly healthy. There are women that can make the right choices, but use it as a scapegoat to be promiscuous.
What about
and that's what I find, like, the whole feminist things kind of, you know, like, why not educate young women? Okay, this is the right way to use it. And if you see a young woman that is abusing it, give her some
I just want to be
solutions.
clear, like, when you say abusing birth control, and it's not that I'm disagreeing with you, I just want to understand specifically what are some ways that women abuse birth control?
You don't really need it. You don't need it. Like okay, if you specifically can control your cycle, you don't have it's not recommended by your doctor because of your situation, because every woman has a different cycle, which is factual. And some of them have to go on birth control based on their hormonal situation. So at the end of the day, if it was not recommended by your doctor that this is what you should do to help your situation, there is condoms. You could use a condom. You know, you don't have to get on a birth control for that. I mean, some women have to use it for their skin. Some women have to use it for all different things.
What about in cases like, you know, in married couples? Let's just say married couples, right? And it's just not the right time to have a baby. But I mean, you know, financially, time-wise, might be starting a business, might not be in the best home situation, and maybe they don't. There's a problem with using a condom.
Yeah,
you see. Like,
it's your choice. It's 100% your choice.
It gives them choice of like their timeline, so like reproductive timeline.
100%.
More so with the woman, of course.
100%.
But would you say, like, especially in marriages where say they don't want any children at all, the use of contraceptives, would that be considered like an abuse of the use of the contraceptive?
So what I mean, let me expand on what I mean by abuse of it. If you are in a serious relationship and you're using contraceptive because you have the end game in mind, okay, this is my goals, etc. But then you're deciding this is not what your focus is. Your focus is not on building a relationship with that partner, but you're using it to abuse now the freedom of, okay, I'm going to protect myself. Yeah, I'm going to protect myself from getting pregnant, but I'm just going to have fun. That's what I'm talking about specifically. That's the abuse I'm talking about.
I don't know. And the thing is, it's funny because I feel like sitting at this table, I mean, undoubtedly going to be considered one of the more conservative people here, but I feel like that was specifically the reason for the pill, is so that women could have sex without consequences. Yeah. So you're talking about a doctor recommending you for your skin or for your PCOS, and to me those are additional alleged positive
we have to ask
things,
ourselves the question.
I don't think that would, to me, that's use of the pill.
No, we have to ask ourselves a question as a woman, quite frankly. Okay, am I just going to take this because it allows me to freely express my sexuality whenever I feel like? Or am I using this because of the purpose it was really made for, specifically? And that's just where my mindset goes on, that, okay, at the end of the day, if you're going to use birth control, because for me personally, in my decision of dating, courting, birth control was not my conversation. It was not there. That was just an idea for me of understanding, okay, I know what birth control can do for me, and I will use it for when it is there to add value to my situation. But we can't abuse our situation. That's just how I'm looking at it.
So I mean, in terms of that, you're referring to using birth control as an excuse to say, well, I can't do this and I can't do this, and then we forget about the morals and values.
Correct, and that's why the nuclear family is just dropping, because there's no intention for dating. There's no intention for courting. There's no intention for taking it to the next step, because guess what? Hey, I'm free, I do what I want, and I take a little birth control, pop a pill, I good to go. And that's just, personally, in my opinion, not the right mindset to have as a woman.
So I think, to me, that mindset would have begun with the sexual revolution.
Exactly.
Which, as Bella was saying, is in the 1960s and the 1970s. By 1963, you had like 2.1 million women in the United States on birth control. So it was really starting to become a commonplace thing.
Correct.
It's crazy because I think right now you're seeing a huge rise in consciousness about what these women are actually taking and what they're putting into their body, and there's been a lot more critical discussions about the effects that it's had on them.
Correct.
But at the time it was really posed to women as, this is freedom, this is going to change your life, this is going to be so amazing.
And isn't that funny that when it is that you, like, okay, for example, like a plan B. A plan B is also a nice way to say, okay, cover your bases.
Right.
But there are women today that unfortunately have damaged their
reproductive
system. They have, because they abuse it. There's a difference between using it to support what you're looking for and then abuse. So you have to know what you're really for.
But I actually think it's kind of unfortunate that we are thought more of the promiscuous sex or gender for like wanting to, I guess, we're decoupling sex from reproduction. We're now associating it with pleasure and things that, I mean, like, we are, as human beings, I would say, entitled to. But it falls more on the woman because of the fact that, like, we bear the bigger consequences every single time.
But I would always say we're in control. That's just how I would look. We always in control. I mean, there are some women, like as you mentioned, that may have gone through sexual abuses and all these different things. But in the majority of us, we are in control. There are some that do undergo those unfortunate events.
Are we though?
We get given, but there are a lot of our women that have control of how we take that step.
Are we though?
Wait, hold on.
Yes,
Taking
we
what
are.
step?
Are we
Taking
though?
what step?
What step?
Towards taking
Contraceptives?
contraceptives and being
thing-
in control of our destiny.
I
But
don't
for me,
know,
I
to
feel
be
like
honest,
the
you know?
conversation is not about the resources that we have available to us that we abuse. It should be about what has the culture been, how has that the culture that's now formed because of the sexual revolution and casual relationships and being and not having responsibility to being sexually active. I think that is more the conversation there, which is a societal thing that was created. Yes, it was created because of the sexual revolution, because everybody took advantage of sex sells after the sexual revolution, including Hollywood. Movies moved their entertainment strategy over to pushing a sexual agenda, right? And that created a culture that women have to be sexual, which then made us, which is now leading to us being objectified, right? That happened coming out of the sexual revolution. But I don't agree that the resources that we have access to right now is a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is, it's just at the end of the day, you as a woman, you need to understand, okay, why are you using this? What is the purpose of it? And there is a purpose for it. If it is that it is being used in an abusive manner, that's something different. That's just my opinion on that idea of birth control.
But I still think you're taking a large percentage of the population, which is which are women who are what you would call more socio-sexual, which is they're more open to having multiple partners, they're more open to having one-night stands, they have a higher sex drive.
And that would be the breakdown of the nuclear family.
Yes, and they would consider the pill as a way to enact that responsibly. I don't think that they consider themselves as being abusive. And again, I'm not even trying to speak from that perspective.
They wouldn't look at it that way.
I'm just trying to say that we also have to acknowledge that these women are out there and they're considering themselves as making a responsible choice.
Yes.
You know? So anyway, listen, we've already gotten so deep into this. This is like, we're just gonna keep unpacking. And I am so excited to continue having this conversation after the break.
Welcome back to Our View, a Woman's Perspective, and today we're discussing women's empowerment versus objectification. And let's bring it back to present day and this hookup culture. Like what do we think about this?
I don't know what to think.
You mean situationships, aka situationships?
Oh my God.
I mean,
I can agree.
honestly, it's not fun for me. I have never been the type of person that prefer to have casual relationships, especially sexual relationships. I think that has contributed to how women treat ourselves, how we treat each other, because now we're constantly down each other and bringing each other down. And I think a part of that is because of hookup culture, which came from the sexual revolution. But it's something that, honestly, for me, it's degraded the way that we treat people in general. And we've allowed ourselves to be objectified as well. I mean, it happened to us, but we've allowed it to happen to us as well, because we think it's something that we need to do to find a mate in life or to find a partner, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's not doing any positive to the development of women, in my opinion.
I think it starts with college, especially now. There's a lot more women than men entering and graduating in tertiary education. So while girls might be running the extracurricular clubs and all these different things, when it comes to eligibility and finding quality men, women are actually way more competitive, and they're also becoming way more submissive to men, because abstinence and holding out is almost becoming a competitive disadvantage. Because as you're saying, women, they're not treating each other well in this
Nope.
war,
No,
right? Of
It's a
trying to get a
battlefield.
quality
So
man.
then, who do you think was really in control of this rise of the hookup culture? Who was
Men.
it really women? Exactly.
Men
Like, does it?
benefit.
do you think,
Predatory
like,
men
predatory
benefit.
men, yeah, predatory men benefited from the
That
rise
is not funny.
of
It is
sexual-
a
Oh, wait,
serious
hold on,
thing.
hold on.
I think
that
the
is-
problem
that is a
Why
hookup
is that
culture
funny?
and
No,
Predatory
it's how you
men.
jumped on and you said, man. It's like, that's what just, you know. So,
But I
how
think
you said
the
it.
overall problem with the hookup culture, because it's about casual sex and casual sexual encounters, it's especially with the new generation and the way that they think now, especially the Gen Z, it's all about immediate gratification. It's not about building relationships. It's not about building any kind of bond. There's no kind of intimacy. And it destroys us women, especially because we're emotional creatures.
But that's the messaging that
Yes.
we created for ourselves, though. Social
Correct.
media
See,
has done that.
Correct. So we can't get mad.
technology.
But
So we
here's
can't
the
get mad.
problem
So
too.
here's- no, but
As
here's the
the
thing.
feminists always, like, it's all about this egalitarianism, this we're equal and women need to be like men, and it sends out this message like, oh, in order for us to be equal, women have to act like men. We have to have the same sexual drive as men, or we have to be the same as men, when
But why
equality
do we-
doesn't equal sameness, and that's the problem. What had happened was now women are trying to meet these expectations that they think in order to be equal, in order to have the sexual freedom, in order to be empowered, we must be the same as our counterparts.
But
And it's destroying us.
I would like to know who set the standard that we need to be like men. Like, when did that happen? I don't think that
I think it was
was
all
a
the
smart
feminists.
move.
They have
This is
radical
all-
feminists.
Like
and
for
very
me,
conservative.
personally, I wouldn't say I am a feminist, but I would agree that the beginning of the whole feminist act would have aligned with the opportunities that women have today, which I love. You know, we could drive cars, we could own homes, we could do so many things. We could have jobs, all these great stuff. But then when we tie it in now to actually where it has evolved to where it is today, this is the reason why the hookup culture is the way it is because, you know, we want to be equal like men, doing
We're trying
exactly
to
what
ignore
men
the
do.
fact that we are
Not
inherently
men.
different.
Yes.
No, we're not men.
And we cannot change something that's literally ingrained in our like DNA, basically.
We're very emotional.
Exactly.
We're very
so that
emotional.
emotional part and the hookup culture,
But have you all
a
noticed how
disaster.
it's really damaging a lot of women who go
there's a
with the
higher
hookup?
rate of depression in women now too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emptiness.
Men,
a lot
men
of
have the
shame,
higher rates. I feel.
a lot of
like,
anxiety.
I really feel men are more depressed than women. I really feel men have
No.
But it may be for different
disagree.
reasons.
It
If
is-
so, maybe for different reasons. For women, especially when it comes to relationships, I feel like we won there in the depression category.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
specific, but on the whole, men have a lot to deal with as well. We can't disagree.
It's
And a lot of men don't come out and talk about it.
Yeah, but
Mental
then-
health with men is very high.
So then, is the hookup culture really fueled by that, and men not dealing with their issues
That could definitely
and the
agree. I
damaging
could
us.
agree
gratification
with
that
that.
they want in
I wouldn't
life
say they're
from having?
damaging
Because
us.
we
I would
we
say it's
glorify
I think it's a
having
both
multiple-
side situation here because let's be real. Let's be real. At the end of the day, a man is a human being the same way, just as we are human beings. So if a man is going through something and he decides, okay, I'm going to just go on, probably I want to date somebody or I want to just hook up with somebody, and he doesn't have that mental capacity to say, okay, let me think about her feelings. Let me think about what she may be going through. Is she okay with it? Instead of coming straight. Now, there are some men that come straight to women and say, this ain't about that. We just here to have fun. And there are women
And
that
we have to keep that in mind.
and there are women who agree with it. But there are some women who go deeper into their emotions. And guess what happens? They now have an expectation that, you know what, maybe I could keep him. And that's not the reality of it. You may see your friends doing it and you think like, yeah, my girlfriend is handling this cool, but you may not be able to handle that hookup culture.
You have to know yourself, basically.
Yes, I know I can handle it. Just saying.
I can't handle it.
Women are forced to
I
basically
catch feelings.
emotionally cripple themselves to adapt to the male sexual lifestyle. And I mean, I'm hearing you all talking, and I can't lie, there's one word that's just flashing in my mind, and that is porn. Like, and we are not really talking about how porn, again, it is not, listen,
It's creating
this is not
expectations
funny.
that are
This is a
insane.
horrible addiction for men. Men are watching, by the
Yes,
time they get to
yes.
college, they're watching years of porn where women are begging for degrading sex, right? They do not have the responsibilities of commitment. And that's the thing too, is that sex from hookups is not that good. again, I hate to get so granular talking about sex on public television. I know that sounds very, she's clutching her pearls, but I really am thinking of my mother at home going, oh God, Sarah. But really and truly, a woman is about 10% likely to orgasm from sex from a hookup and 68% likely to orgasm from sex with a committed partner. Why is that?
Because we need the emotional connection.
One,
we're not purely
two,
physical beings.
because men who are having sex in a hookup are actually not that good at it.
And they don't care about
They don't care. And we have also been trained to be
Immediate
more submissive and
gratification.
please men in hookup sex because that's what they see
And have
in
you
porn.
ever spoke to a man that has that like hooked up a couple times and then you ask the question, okay, did you feel anything? Like, well, no, I was just...
It's so much easier for them.
But them was like,
easier
no,
for
I
them to
just released. I was just all about
compartmentalize.
me to get my stress off and that was about it.
It was
And
compartmentalization.
for women, it's totally different.
Men are
Totally.
creatures of quantity and women are creatures of quality. I hate to say it.
I-
And men are there looking to clock numbers
would
like
say
it's nobody's business.
That's how I always say for women, you know, you gotta protect your bases. Just protect your bases.
So then, why do women use dating apps? And I mean, why do people engage in hookup culture to begin with? Then, what's the underlying reason? And I'm going to say something radical. This is just my opinion. I feel like I'm going to get hate for this, but the men and women, for me, that are supporting hookup culture, to me, honestly, I feel like those people are not dealing with their self issues. It's about running after that fix. It's like an addiction. It's getting fixed, that gratification fix of attention and that femininity that we're looking for just a moment because we just have not
They
found a
want an
partner yet.
orgasm. That's what they
And
want
then-
because that's all they could feel.
On the flip side with men, I feel like it's also an ego thing. It's also about, you know, trying to fill a void that maybe they've not dealt with in themselves yet, and have not maybe found that purpose that they are. I think purposeful people are not distracted by the pleasures of the flesh. That's
But
just my opinion.
But do you think that like social media, not just dating apps, but like social media applications, the way people portray themselves and the lives that people are living that look so exciting and so free, this is a problem as well with the
I
hookup
would say-
Young
culture.
people
Yeah.
are having less sex
say
and
yes.
worse sex.
Less and worse sex.
Yes.
I would say yes. I'd agree with that. And that's why, as an individual, I would say you have to be mindful that not everything you subscribe to.
You have to be able to censor.
Just don't
all the
subscribe to
information.
everything. It's as simple as that. However, at the end of the day, there are influences out there, and there are moments where when you don't deal with your, as you
Inner
would have said, your inner
conflict.
hurts,
Mhm.
you're gonna find ways to feel comforted.
Yeah, I feel like the world would be a much different place if we were taught how to self-regulate our emotions and deal with our trauma and self-soothe than look for
Yes.
it in other people.
Yes.
You know?
I would say a lot of the a lot of women that I would speak to when coming to find a relationship, to find that partner that they can connect with, they would always say, well, I can't wait, I don't know how to find this partner. And the thing is, don't go looking. I would always say, don't go looking. Just don't go looking. When you don't look for it and you focus on you and you work with what's happening within you, it will come to you. And then you can make the right decision. Okay, is this person right for me? Do they have the qualities, the values that I'm looking for? And then we can take that step. You know?
I would say though that there's some people who do connect physically.
Of course.
Initially, they're not really people who maybe will mentally connect at first, and
Mhm.
maybe they start off as hookups, but it develops into something else. There are occasions where that happens.
I know,
maybe
I
few
know
and
too
far
many
between.
people. I know too many people that did hook up, and then within a year, it's done.
It's
Yeah,
it's
done.
typically short-lived.
Yeah.
And it
But there
degrades the
are
mental
cases-
health of the
Uh-huh.
people.
There are
100%.
cases where they do realize, hey, we
100%.
actually have a connection. This is, you know, this can go somewhere. But most times, yes, it's all about immediate gratification and not dealing with your traumas or
I think very, very early on, when men are interested in a woman, they put her in two categories: good time only or worthwhile.
Possible.
And
yes.
once you get shafted into good time only, it is very hard to crawl
Out
your
of that? Yeah, but
way
we do
back
that
out
too.
of there.
Women do that as well.
And so you have to think about
Bold.
how you're actually looking to meet people, because we're talking about Tinder and all of these different apps where you can meet people online, which allows you to, like, okay, I would say on this end of the spectrum is sex with your husband. Y'all are trying to make a baby. Y'all are making love. It is so fulfilling. It is sacred, everything. And this is Tinder, right? this is a gourmet meal and this is McDonald's. This is cheap. This is extracted everything about food that you think you like. It looks good, it tastes good, but it actually makes you feel like crap. It's empty, it's bad for you. You know, this is where you want to be, but we are convincing men and women that this is
the only way
this
to get
is the
human
life.
contact.
This
Why?
is freedom.
For
Yeah, so
intimacy.
why are we doing that?
It's
Why
a
is
false
this-
sense of intimacy for sure. It's the intimacy you crave and you think you're getting it because this person is sleeping with you. But really in the end afterwards you regret it. Or you realize it's not what you got. It's not what you're looking for, which is that connection with somebody. Most times hookups end in regret. To be
Correct,
honest.
is right. But I know that we're loving this and we're going really nice with this. But we need to definitely take a break and we'll be back with some more of this conversation.
Welcome back to Our View. Today we are discussing two sides of a coin. Is it empowerment or is it objectification that so many women are dealing with today? I think it's very easy to have this conversation and immediately perceive women as victims who are being sold a shoddy bill of goods, you know, because we're telling women, sleep around, have fun, you know, just enjoy yourself. But the research shows that men want women to sleep with them, but then when they're actually looking to settle down, they don't want a woman who slept around. So it's very easy to just be like, well, women are being caught in this trap. But I also think it's important that we hold up the mirror, as we love to see on this show, and take some responsibility. Because I do feel like the minute anybody looks at a woman and says, well, maybe you should wear a little more, or dress a little this, or act a little this way, it's met with a very vitriolic reaction, and it's also met with a lot of like, you're victim shaming me for something that happened, you know. So where do we find a balance, you know? Because I do think the fact that predatory men exist is a fact that can't be changed.
Right.
So we can't just ask men not to rape. We should also ask women to do certain things that might protect them in the long run,
But
like not get wasted around predatory men
But
or dress scantily around
holding
predatory men.
ourselves accountable for the
Correct.
way that we behave and the messaging that we put on the outside.
Now given, there are going to be women who be like, but I should be able to wear what I want to
What
wear.
I want, and I should do
dress
what I
up,
want,
you know,
yes.
because again, that's what's being taught now. That's the society we live in. And this is why I would always say, at the end of the day, with the knowledge that you have, you can't abuse it and just be like, okay, whatever, let's just go free, let's just do whatever we want. Because there are consequences to your actions.
It's time
So,
and place.
Correct,
Really.
it does. But at the end of the day, it brings me back to, again, common sense. I mean, if I wear something specifically that's going to be a bit revealing for the predator is going to come. It's going to happen.
It's also about choosing what men we want to spend our time with and allow ourselves to be
Yeah.
vulnerable in front of. I mean, look at when our Prime Minister, I think this was during COVID or something, and there was a lot of gender violence issues, and he basically called on women to use a little bit more discretion with who they have in their bed.
True.
And women reacted like very strongly. They were very upset about it. But to me, I can't help but feel like that's good advice. You
That
know,
is
take a little
fantastic
more
advice.
time when you're choosing who, because these men are out there.
Anybody remember your grandparents or great-grandparents, the statement of don't be a clothespin?
What
my
is
Y'all
that?
ever hear about clothespin?
No.
Y'all ever hear about
That's
clothespin? That's what
When they squeeze your
I've
hand
never
and your
heard
legs
that in my
open.
life.
You never heard about that concept? My
No.
grandmother would have spoke about that a lot. And she said,
So
don't be a clothespin.
A clothespin.
And then that's probably why I was afraid to have sex. That's probably why.
Because you don't want to
because-
be a clothespin.
Yeah, because Granny told me don't be a clothespin. And when I heard
Yeah.
that, it's like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. As I got older and I started to realize, okay, I am attracted. I told myself, okay, I'm not going to go there. And I would take responsibility and not put myself in a situation
Put
where
more
I'm...
thought behind who you're going to sleep with.
Yeah, and
it's
I
not
just never...
oh,
So,
he wants
to
to
be
sleep with me.
honest, I have tried before my husband having a partners before. And anytime I get to that step, it's like, ooh, no, Granny. You didn't think about the clothespin thing. And then when I met my husband, I was serious about him, and I decided, okay, this is the man I'm going to be with. He's actually my first. That's my husband is my first, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I know a lot of women watch me like I'm crazy sometimes, but it's mainly because I had my thought process of being intimate with somebody. That's a serious step, and I need to be very, very cautious with who I decide to lay with. That's how I looked at it. I don't know if everybody would look at it that way, but that's just how I look at it.
That's beautiful. My mother's advice was, don't do it. And I was like, Mommy, and then she's like, all right, but if you're going to do it, don't do it with anybody you wouldn't have children with. You know? And that, I always kept that in my head. Like every time I was in that situation, I was like, would you make a good dad? And if it was no, it was like, all right, well, what am I even doing here? What am I doing here? You know?
Okay, well, let's consider some of the potential positive impacts of hookup culture, for example. I mean, there are people, let's be real, there are people who just don't prefer a committed relationship.
True.
They like to explore their sexual freedom. They might be kinky. They like those...
Sociosexual is the word.
Okay, all right, cool.
I got
Thank you
you,
for that.
Kinky.
Right? Some people might even be using hookup culture as a way to gain experience, so they know. We said that before.
Like and what they don't
exactly.
like, and then also beneficial for future partners.
I can tell you, for me, it has made me very self-aware, right? So, I mean, it's helped me deal with my own issues, for example, or maybe understanding myself, things that I may not have thought about that I prefer or not prefer. It has helped me understand myself and made me incredibly self-aware. So having this conversation, I'm able to confidently tell you what I like and what I don't like because of it. I mean, yes, we need to use our discretion and make better judgments.
Sometimes sometimes it's a mirage, and you think you're making a great judgment call, and it's not.
It's a mirage.
So I mean, we try our best to make better judgments, and sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes we have to take responsibility to where we.
But let's consider this.
Carnival fuels that a lot.
So here's this point, right? Let's consider this, right? How many potential marriages have failed because
of Carnival?
No, not because of Carnival, but because both partners are unhappy with each other sexually.
Like intimacy.
Which meant that they may never have done that exploratory phase in their life to understand themselves, their bodies, and what they like and what they don't like. So then they end up getting bored with each other, and the marriage end up failing, and then the divorce rates go up because of that.
I get you.
That could be a potential one.
I could come from the inexperienced part of exploring my sexuality. And I would say I was taught, my husband would have taught me a lot in between, and there would have been moments where we would have felt those disconnects in the relationship, but it came from what was happening outside, the situation of life happening a lot that caused a lot of the disconnect in the relationship where sexuality is concerned and being intimate with that partner, because whatever happened here made you literally feel like you're not over it. You're not over whatever took place, and therefore there's a growing elephant in the room, and you just don't feel connected again.
Then would you say with the hookup culture too that it can also help in learning how to communicate your likes and your dislikes?
Maybe.
And how to speak up a little bit more, because in that space you may not care as much.
It does. It does contribute to the level of confidence you may have in yourself as well at times. I mean, that's a double-edged sword, but it does. But let's stick a pin on that right now. We're gonna dive a little bit further into that when we come back from the break.
Welcome back to Our View, and we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, Carnival. The outfits, the thongs. No, I don't wear thongs, I just saying. No.
I've done it.
I wear thongs under my clothes. I wear thongs under my clothes, but like
thongs is a very normal thing in Trinidad culture.
Yeah, but okay, my little experience with Carnival modeling, I remember telling the designer, I am not wearing that. if you really do want me to do this, I am not wearing that, I'm wearing that. And then when I get my costume and they say, okay, this is for you, like, I'm not wearing that. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do
So then
it.
is carnival empowering or objectification?
Good question.
Because to be honest, I mean, I feel empowered by playing mass. I
Yes.
feel
I love it.
free when I get to
love being
express
half naked.
myself and
You love being
feel
happy.
pretty
I
on the
love
road
being
and the
half
feathers
naked.
and all of those things. I feel empowered by playing carnival. And it does lead to a level of objectification. But for me, it's an empowering thing to
That's
be able
not
to
the
be
goal,
free on
it's-
the road and to wear the costumes
Feeling
and
comfortable.
I
in your
just can't do
skin.
I just can't do
You string up your butt.
yeah boy.
Mm.
I can't do it.
The thing with carnival is that it's meant to be a departure from what goes on the other 363 days of the year. You know, so it's like it's meant to be that it is a hall pass for those 2
It's
days.
freedom.
The
It's
fact is we stretch it out into a season because
But
Trinidad's
here's
like
how
ourselves, you
weird.
know?
It's so weird. Like I could probably this came to mind. I played mass and then like a day or two later, I was walking out in the yard and I had some holes in my husband's underwear because I like to wear my husband's underwear at home. And I said, oh gosh, Annie, you could have told me somebody was there, I have holes in my underwear. He said, but Gilly was just playing mass and your bottom was outside. Like, what is the big deal? And my mind, I just wanted to not be seen in that light. I don't know what happens to my mental or even all of us that play mass and we are in the thongs and we
I think
showing
it's time.
skin.
It's a time and place.
It's a
time
time.
and thing.
I was telling him it's time and place, but he was like, in his mind, it's like there's no time and place. Like, if you're doing it then, why not do it all the time?
True.
Like, it shouldn't matter.
I think it's about balance. I have to say, Kadita, I'm like you. I don't really wear tongue on the road. I don't really wear tongue in public.
I do.
Brianna loves herself.
I
you know?
love everything
Bella
outside. Well,
loves
not everything
herself.
outside, but like
I don't know.
But I think
this
it's
is
just
not even
you
for
have your
men to
own
look at me,
boundaries.
Nothing. This is because like I feel comfortable. This
It's
is,
not about
it's not
men.
even to be sexual, and people would look at like my Instagram and stuff and be like, oh, but she always half naked. Oh, she's too sexual. She only looking for man. I'm not looking for man. I prefer when women are the ones being like, oh my god, you look so beautiful. I couldn't care less.
I
Could
would
not
agree.
care less when a man
I
does.
could agree we dress for each other.
We
dress
do
for
dress
women.
for each other,
We
and then
dress
people
for
would say,
women.
"Oh no, but that's contributing towards this and that," and oh, men are objectifying us. So, are we objectifying ourselves? Are we? Are
So
we?
real question is there really something called woman empowerment? Is it really woman empowering women? Really?
Or are some of us bringing each other down?
I just don't understand how I'm supposed to extract power from
Check
another
your comment section, you'll see.
woman. Is it validation? Like when we say empowerment, what is that? And is it that we're just looking at the whole world through a lens of power? You know, because then that is a lot of what we're talking about with hookup culture. When you take away the sacredness of sex, it just becomes about
Immediate
power.
gratification, external
You know?
validation. Is it all about that? I mean, I guess for some people, yeah, it is.
Probably.
I mean, I wouldn't say I never benefited from the hookup culture per se, because I did enjoy
Brianna,
certain
why do I
things.
feel like you're dancing around something?
Sex is great. Sex is fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's a gift.
However, what happens after, and the fact that after all those things, you kind of realize, oh, like that was nice and all, but I want more. It's empowering to have once, and
To a point.
And then it
What's
feels
the
like
what's the
point
point?
is the point.
Yeah,
The
that's the
points.
point. So like what comes after that
what
point?
comes after is your realization: is this what I want,
Yeah.
Mm,
or is it something I really can't do?
okay.
It helps you make a choice.
As I say, I can't talk about hookup culture because at the end of the day, I've not been with multiple partners. I have tried, like, okay, let's do this. And then it's, ooh, I'm frightened, I'm scared.
Yeah, but some people enjoy that.
And that's it. So the thing is
Some
that
people do enjoy it.
for some
Some people
person it
are
is.
empowered by
Exactly.
that because
That's
they
what I was
have the
gonna
freedom
say.
to express themselves. They have the freedom to have sex, right?
Have multiple partners.
Have multiple. Some people enjoy that,
Mhm.
right?
They do.
Agree.
So
And it's good that they could live in a world where they could act freely. You know,
Well,
like Kanita, you represent one end of the spectrum, but you are literally on the
traditional.
far end of the spectrum.
correct is
Like
right.
you're an outlier by being able to say, like, the only partner I've ever had is my husband. You are literally at
No,
that.
no. I did try, but when I say like I went and I was like,
Oh,
it's like a trial.
so there's a
thing.
technicality.
So what had happened was, it's like a trial thing.
happened
What had
was-
happened was
it
a
didn't
trial
count.
thing, right? And then when I try it, I was like, nah, boy, I can't do this. So when my husband was talking to me, I was like, okay, tell me how many partners you had before. I said, well, what had happened was, and I started telling him about it. He said, well, okay, well then you're not a virgin. I said, no, it's not like I'm not no virgin. It's just that I never,
What do you mean?
I never took it to the next step. It's like, okay, there was
I'm like
Jesse
that.
tip.
That meme
Jesse
with all
tip.
the calculus.
It was Jesse
It's
tip.
Jesse tip.
It's Jesse tip.
I don't know.
I was just like, okay, I feel
God.
Jesse tip. I just
That was
feel-
hard to get you to say. It's
Wow.
okay. You did good. You did good.
Okay. You did really good.
Yeah.
You did really good.
So that's just it for me. Like that's my headspace around that. So I can't even say like I like sex was empowering for me. Like it didn't empower me at all in the beginning. In my marriage, oh yeah, 100%.
Breeze, you
100%.
feel like sex helped you find yourself?
Honestly, yeah, I think it kind of like broke me out my shell in a way where I learned to communicate intimately with somebody about my wants and my needs and how I feel. Because I was always a very quiet person. I was always very like timid. You could walk all over me. Now, in the bedroom, outside the bedroom, and in the bedroom was probably the safest place for me to explore that because it wasn't judgment from everybody around me when I opened up.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it was a
understand.
kind of like freedom. You get to kind of let loose, and it's with your not a partner, but you know, if it's a hookup or whatever, it's still a safer place to kind of learn yourself in that way. So I don't regret
I
like
I
any
look
hookups that I've had really.
I look back on my life and the decisions that I made. I mean, I definitely cannot say I'm on your level.
Nope.
No.
I have
But
a
I
whole child.
My
also-
sister always tells
I
me
would
like,
probably be somewhere in between you guys, and I look back and I'm okay with the decisions I made. I feel like I found a nice balance between having fun, loosening up,
Yeah.
but also kind of making good decisions about my partners, you know, which is just, I can't help but suggest that women should do that as well. You know, for me, I find a healthy balance is what I would recommend, you know.
But I mean, if you're not comfortable with, you learn that you're not comfortable with that kind of thing, like exploring before marriage and stuff like that. I mean, it's not wrong either. So wait, I think it works for suitability.
well, it worked for me. I'm gonna say. But
It wasn't for me
It
though.
may not
It
work
was
for
not
everybody.
for me. I
It may
have a
not work
whole
for
child.
everybody.
Something that I wanted to talk about is consent. You know, there's a big emphasis now on consent, and once she has consented, then it's okay. You know, but I think that sometimes consent can become like a gateway of like, well, because she consented to it, it's okay for me to degrade her. You know what I mean? It's okay for us to do this or us to do that, and then yes, she consents, but afterwards it's not a good feeling. You know, and so I think it's a very concerning thing to just boil something down to consent, because again, we're taking away a lot of the things about sex that make it great and just saying, well, you agreed to it, right? So what's the problem? It's like you signed on the dotted line, right? So this is the contract.
The problem with that mindset is that yes, you may have consented initially, but if you say, hey, you want to sleep together, hey, you want to have sex, all right, cool, yeah. But then you begin doing something that I don't like. It's really on the person who is uncomfortable to be able and know they can't speak up. I mean, there are instances where maybe the partner won't listen to them, but I would be like, hey, whoa, we're not going there. We can do this, but we're not going there.
So what
We're not going
about
there.
after all of that has happened? What do you think would be the outcome of having a serious relationship? Like, are you going to let your partner know, okay, this is all that I'm coming with, this is everything that I have done? How does that, you know, positively affect a relationship?
What do you mean, like your history, your
Well,
sexual history,
with that,
maybe?
yeah, with that, and then of course with you saying that you had a child and all these different stuff.
I think it's very, very important to be very open with a potential partner or somebody you see like yourself getting serious with. It's very open to let them know, hey, you know, this is kind of like my background. This is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I've experienced. Because that's the only way you're going to cultivate healthy relationships. Whether it starts from a hookup or whether it starts from, hey, this is what we want to do, we want to get serious, I'm looking for a life partner. Communication, that is key.
I think women feel more emboldened to articulate what they
Now.
want now.
Mm-hmm.
You
Than
know,
ever
for
before.
all how we talk about the ills, You know, women feel like they have the words now and the
They have a
guts
choice
to say something. You know, I feel like in the process of this journey of our view, you know, Bella has been someone whose views are in tandem with mine, not all the time, but I will say that I want to hear your take on, do you think that traditional values and sexual freedom can coexist? How can we make that coexist?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes back to what Kanita said earlier about having common sense, right? I mean, the sexual revolution would have given us access to resources that allowed women to have choice. That's where we started off, right? And I don't think that that is a bad thing. As a byproduct of that, yes, hookup culture was born out of it, and it has a place in society. We spoke about that before, where women being able to understand themselves and express their sexual freedom, and even gain experience for future marital relationships per se, right? So it's not necessarily an absolute bad thing, but it does require a level of discretion.
Yes,
And then further to that, when it comes to, I'm just trying to tie everything back into each other. When it comes to accountability, right? I mean, again, this is where common sense comes into play. You want to be accountable for yourself. If you are somebody that wants to be a casual dating person, that's all fine and well with you, right? It's about communicating that and holding the next person that you're with accountable to that as well. And making sure that those two things mesh, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, and,
Right?
and that is a really great point you're bringing there, and that comes with vulnerability. And a lot of people don't like to be vulnerable.
Brie, I want to hear your closing thoughts.
Traditional. It's along the lines
Of
of
what she
what
said.
she
Yeah,
said.
she-
Yes,
You hit the mark.
you hit the mark.
Right.
I would say that yes, it has. There's a lot of good and there's a lot. I mean, just like anything, there's good and bad, right? And it is on. Well, what we are failing to actually realize is that common sense is not common. So then, you know, striking a balance within our society may be a little difficult, but I feel like, you know, if you keep yourself open or you figure out what your likes and your dislikes are, and and make sure and communicate with your partner or the people you're hooking up with, so that there are no expectations, or at least the expectations are not that high. I think that the two things can coexist quite well. It's just there's a problem with communication and a problem with people giving consideration to others.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because it's all about me, it's all about the individual, it's all about how I feel, what I want, and never about the other person. It's something that we need to kind of bring together,
Yeah.
the traditional view and of course what is now modern dating culture.
I think we've done a really, really good job today of representing different women. I know that it's a touchy topic.
It is. And
You
it's
know,
a
and it's
topic
a-
that go really wide.
It's a
really vast.
personal topic. And I really want to thank everybody who watched today for tuning in and listening to our stories and hearing our takes. And of course, we would love to hear yours. So please feel free to weigh in on the socials and tell us what you think in terms of empowerment or objectification, because we know it's a contentious topic. So of course, we'll be back again next week right here with our view, a woman's perspective, to discuss a whole new hot potato topic. Thanks again for joining us, folks. We'll see you next week.